hear me, but you can't hear the music?
Yeah, how am I supposed to get hyped up with no music?
Whatever.
Know.
Anyways,
Nah,
hey everybody.
put it in post.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Cryptid Cocktail Party. I'm your host, Dave.
I'm Sarge. Hi.
We're still working.
I'm Sarge the Destroyer from the internet.
Yeah. We're off to a rough start. Anyways. How you doing, buddy? You looking good?
I'm good. I'm doing phenomenal. I'm taking my sons to Legoland out in Goshen, New York tomorrow. That's going to be a fun drive. 4 hours through Connecticut.
Hey man, I have to do it all the time to go back to New Hampshire, so it's not too bad. Depending on
Connecticut is. Oh yeah, but the problem is you have to drive through Pennsylvania.
Well, I don't have to drive through. All right, if I was on like the Pittsburgh end, that would suck. But like I'm 2 minutes and I'm in Jersey, and then I'm like a half hour from there I'm in New York, and then like an hour or so I'm in Connecticut. Like once I hit Connecticut, I know I'm at like almost a halfway point to New Hampshire. Mostly because the traffic in Connecticut is way worse somehow than New York and Massachusetts. I think it's just because they all suck at being humans in general there. Yep. So, but I always wanted to go to Legoland. But wait, are you going to like Legoland like the theme park, or like Legoland like just the store thing?
No, it's a theme park.
Okay. Now,
yeah, it's a theme park. It's got the best part is when you get in the elevator.
Yeah.
It plays disco music as it goes up, and there's like a disco ball and like the lights flash. It's I don't know why it activates something in my brain that immediately makes me 10 years old again.
All right. See, I've always wanted to go to Legoland, but I've always been under the impression that you can't go if you don't have a child. I
believe that's the case. I believe that's the case.
Yeah, they do like an adults only like night.
Yeah, they do. They do an adults only night. Yep.
But it's like once every like few months, and it's always like in the middle of the weekday. Like I can't. Well, yeah. Like I'm not gonna fucking because I would kill to go to Legoland. I remember going. Off topic. I went when I was a kid. We went to Germany because my grandparents lived there, and we went to Connexland. Not gonna lie, not as cool as fucking.
Not as cool.
Not as cool as Legoland. Close. Yeah. Wait, can you be taking your kids places? Doesn't one have COVID? Like, isn't he fucking sick?
Oh, no. He's good now.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I mean, COVID doesn't last. COVID's not like old COVID. This is new COVID. New COVID takes like 2 days to get over, and then you're fine. It's like a cold. Gotcha. All right. I just.
But yeah, that sounds awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Have you been before?
Oh, yeah. We went when it first opened for my son's 10th birthday. Now it's his 13th birthday.
Is this like a welcome to puberty kind of like special occasion? Like in a few years, you're not going to want to do this. So let's get it over with.
Oh, no. In this family, he will always want to do this because my whole house is surrounded by Legos. Yeah. As you can see.
Oh, yeah. I know.
So like it's a whole thing. And for those of you listening, just know that I just showed a badass Lego collection. My entire room down here, it's 360 degrees of Legos. You can't look somewhere without seeing them.
Yeah.
Which makes it very hard when I'm working for me to have like serious HR type conversations when I'm also looking at 3 different Lego Millennium Falcons.
Yeah, that's, I
mean, I'm at that point too, where I'm literally trying to figure out what stuff to get rid of. It's like trying to pick which one of your kids is your favorite.
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like that's easier said than done.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so we're going to Legoland, and I'm going to be a giant child for basically 2 days.
Hell yeah, man.
Going down on Monday and then coming back on Tuesday.
Well, if you see any cool fucking like cryptid Lego minis, fucking scoop some up and send them my way. I'll you got it. I'll Venmo you a few ducats for that.
You got it.
Well, that's cool, man. That's a pretty good bright spot for your week. I got a little bright spot that I came across today. So we live pretty close to, not pretty close. We live like pretty much right beside 95 in Philly. Yeah. And they just redid underneath like the entire length of where we live. It's like all parking underneath it. Like they made it like an actual usable space and not just under a bridge, which, you know what I mean? But because of that, there is kind of like not a homeless problem, which I mean, it's a problem, but someone put a sign made out of plywood and bolted it to a stop sign that says,
"Oh, I love it.
Take your drugs and sex and trash with you." And then it gives a list of things that and also inside of all the O's in take your drugs and trash with you, and like the dotting of the eyes are all smiley faces. So I don't know if this is an adult or a child.
Phenomenal.
But on it says, it gives a list of things they want you to take with you when you leave underneath I-95. Needles, caps, crack jars, baggies, glass dicks, blunt guts, condoms, new and used, with 2 exclamation points and then a smiley face, like a smiley face underneath it. Now, I posed to you this question: what is a glass dick? My first thought was like a crack pipe. My wife said, maybe it's a dildo. I was like, first of all, glass dildos cost like way more than just regular silicone dildos. So no one's leaving those bad. And then we both came to the conclusion that maybe this person who made this sign doesn't know anything about drugs, and they think that like the like just a regular weed bowl, because it kind of looks like a dick. Like, do you think they mean that? But also, who's leaving behind glass bowls? Again, far more expensive than just getting a pen, like a pen and some tinfoil. Like,
that is amazing.
I don't know. The sign made my day. It was one of the funniest things.
I knew a woman who had a pink bowl.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a light pink bowl, and it was shaped like a dick.
Yeah, I mean, I've
bowl
seen
part was in the balls.
Yeah,
and then of course
I mean, I've seen those before, but I need to know what a glass dick is, and also the fact
I'm guessing it's just the pipe. It's just some unsophisticated rube who's like, you suck it on that pipe like it's a dick.
But also, I walk underneath this all the time. I've never seen whatever the fuck they're talking about. I mean, I've seen needles, but I live in the city. There's going to be needles no matter where you are. And it's not like a pile. Like, it's not like it's not like a fucking hazmat situation where like you need, you know what I mean? Like, you see it.
I mean, also you're under a bridge. Like, what are you expecting down there?
True.
It's not fucking Narnia.
And I'm a big fan of being underneath bridges. I like, when I was in my youth and I was like super punks, I'd go down under bridges, spray paint, fucking get drunk. I'm a big fan of hanging out under bridges.
Yeah.
And most of the people you meet under there, super nice. Are they addicted to heroin? Probably, but that's
maybe.
You know what I mean? But like, whatever. Never had a bad experience under a bridge. Now, obviously, I can't speak for everyone because there's been a lot of terrible things that happened under a bridge, but fucking leave these people alone.
There was that guy in Florida, I believe, who had his face eaten off. I think he was under a bridge.
No, that was on top of a bridge. That was like on
top of the bridge. Okay, sorry, my bad.
They got helicopter footage of that bath salts guy.
Are you sure? I really thought he was like coming out from underneath the bridge.
No, you
walking on the sidewalk.
No, we watched. You could watch it.
I watched it, but it was a long time ago.
It was
back when the internet was fun and you could still watch stuff like that.
Yeah. Speaking of the internet, you ready to dive into today's topic?
Oh yeah, that's right. We're podcast.
Yeah, I know. I forget sometimes too.
Yeah, me too. It's fine.
All right, Sarge. Today we're going to be going to the land between the lakes. Are you familiar with the land between the lakes?
I've heard of it, but I also have been playing a lot of Elden Ring, so
it might be one of like conflating the two.
Yeah.
All right. So the land between the lakes is a 171,000 acre recreational area that sits in both Kentucky and Tennessee between Lake Barkley and the Kentucky Lake. Altogether, it consists of more than 300 miles of shoreline, 200 miles of walking trails, and just like endless acres of unbroken forest. It's a spot where locals and tourists alike go camping, fishing, or partake in the more popular activity there, bird watching. Apparently, the land between the lakes, or LBL for short, is apparently the most popular inland birding area in the eastern United States, with over 250 species of birds observed there since 1963. I added that in there because I know you're a bird lover. You have one who makes guest appearances on the show very frequently. You don't.
Let's dispel that myth right now. My daughter is a bird lover.
Well, I mean, you take care of the bird, so you love the bird.
I got her 2 birds, thinking this would help her learn some responsibility and relax a little bit. And then I found out that she was allergic
to birds. Is that a thing?
Yes.
I
guess so.
That's something you can't find out until you're like pretty much in contact with a bird.
Until you have one in your house that you have invested money in. And then me being the sucker that I am, I don't feel right going back to the pet store and being like, take these. So I took on these 2 birds.
Okay.
And now one of them, who I think might be the Highlander, because I've had it for like well over 5 years at this point.
Well, yeah, birds live forever, dude.
So I like this bird.
Okay.
Because I've lived with it for 5 years.
Gotcha.
But I don't like all birds because they shit on stuff, and I hate that.
Yeah. So
I'll just go to your nest and squeeze one out and grow a tail right above your heads.
So just to reiterate,
bastards.
Sarge, bird lover. I figured you would love that. No.
Fuck! Now I gotta scrap the episode.
With all it has to offer, the LBL, Land Between the Lakes. I'm going to call it LBL from now on because saying Land Between the Lakes is aggressive.
Yeah.
It's a tongue twister.
However, LBL sounds like a weird fundamentalist version of like the Mormon faith.
But the LBL has now become the focal point of the region's now $600 million tourism industry. And the area was also once designated a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve. And I say once was because the Trump administration withdrew it from the program in 2017. But in the slush area of seemingly untapped nature, something more ominous may have made its home. Today, Sarge, we're going to be covering the Beast of LBL and the Land Between the Lakes Massacre. Is this something that you might be familiar with, do you think?
No. Now I'm interested. But I do want to provide some context as to why Trump eliminated that biosphere.
Was it because there might be oil there or something?
Designation. He heard that birds were migratory and then just immediately assumed they were all coming from Mexico. So,
I mean, are they not? I mean, they fly south for the winter.
I don't want any migrant birds. They're the worst.
Now, in this area, there's always been talk of supernatural shit, hauntings, Native American curses, mysterious orb-like lights that hung around graves and over the waters. And these were presumed to be the spirits of those whose graves were flooded. Oh, yeah. So,
it's like a Bridgewater Triangle situation?
Well, kind of. So the Land Between the Lakes was originally called the Land Between the Rivers until the government came and made a bunch of dams. And then the government, basically,
the Army Corps of Engineers usually is the one they send out.
Yeah, they were but the government was like eminent domain or whatever, and just kicked a bunch of people out of their homes. Entire towns ended up under the water. So there's a bunch of graves and like homes and shit underneath the water. So that's what they think these lights that were above the water are. Yeah. According to one source I read, there are at least 250 family graveyards scattered throughout the surrounding forests, as well as underwater. As well as countless Revolutionary and Civil War grave sites, and just a ton of like Native American graves and holy sites now lost to the lakes, and also the dense forest that no one's allowed to be in because it's a protected area. So it makes sense that there's some sort of like supernatural tomfoolery afoot, I guess is the best.
Note to self, don't go swimming there.
Yeah, there's like entire towns that are just under this lake, or both these lakes. But ghost orbs and bog witches, which is another thing that was rumored to have been lurking in the woods, aren't what we're here to discuss. The creature that strikes fear into the hearts of those that live and play in the area is known as the Beast of LBL. It's described as being a wolf-like creature that stands on its hind legs. It stands over 7 feet tall with long, coarse hair covering its entire body. Its head is massive. And
it wears a short sleeve, white button-down shirt, a black tie, and it keeps asking you if you want to go to church with it.
Its head is massive and wolf-like with an extra long snout with unnaturally sharp teeth. Like apparently the incisors on this thing are fucking like saber tooth almost, but like fits in the mouth. It's fucked up.
Like unnaturally sharp teeth, like scalpels.
I don't know, dude. It's just what it said, bro. I don't.
All right. Well, look, I don't think they're trying to paint a picture in my mind. All right.
I don't think they're like serrated or like razor sharp, but I mean like pointy sharp, like I don't know.
Okay.
All right.
Like sharper than a dog's teeth.
Yes. Its arms are long but muscular, ending in huge hands with long, spindly fingers and sharp, pointy claws that could cut down any livestock in like one fell swoop.
So we're talking like Kellyanne Conway right now.
Pretty much. Its feet are like that of a man's, but the tracks it leaves behind are kind of unusual. It leaves behind like the barefoot impression of a man's foot, but where the toes are, it looks as though they're padded, like a paw print almost.
Okay.
Its howl is something even like the most seasoned of outdoorsmen know that when you hear it, you just get the fuck out. It was described as an unnatural, guttural sounds of painful hunger and agony. So that's not great.
Okay.
So the beast of LBL is what the cryptid community would classify in these days as a dogman. Dogmen are like pretty hot, quote unquote hot in the cryptid community right now for some reason. And
it's because of all the erotica on Amazon.
Yeah, I did see one called Knotted by the Dogman, and I thought that was one of the funniest fucking things I've ever.
Oh God. It's
which implies that it has the penis of a dog and it knots. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I'm glad we're just to be on the same page here.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I know what that means. I wish I didn't,
Yeah. Now I'll be the first to say it. Just like Bigfoot, I'm not convinced at all that the Dogman is real. Okay. I'm just going to flat out say it. I don't believe in the Dogman, but this story rules. So I'm just going to tell it because I think
go with it. Just go with it.
Legends of the Beast of LBL, like they aren't new. It's been around for at the very least 100 years or so. Obviously, again, it's gaining popularity now because everything is a dogman or a werewolf or something fucking stupid.
Naturally.
But it's probably been around longer. I mean, just like Bigfoot, I'm sure the Native Americans had like their own lore about it. Yeah. Like stories passed down from family member to family member, town to town. You know how oral traditions go.
Yeah.
And with each new encounter or story, the tales were like updated and changed to reflect the changes, I guess. Some people told the story as the beast being a Native American shaman who used his powers for evil and was killed in his wolf state and now roams the area. It's kind of just like one last like fuck you to like the area. Others claim it was a cursed or diseased man that at night turned into a werewolf basically, and that curse like continued down his bloodline like to this day, and it's just like a continuation of that. And then like others just claim it's like straight up just like the devil or whatever. It's just like demons.
Turns out it's a guy who just cooks meth in the woods.
Yeah. And sightings of the beast continue obviously to this day, mostly it coming out, killing some pigs and cows and shit, whatever, horses. One dude said that he was cleaning his horse stables or something one night, and the beast kind of like side jumped out of one of the stalls with its arms spread out like it was going to grab him like like I'm going to get you. Like but it just screamed at him and then ran past him out of the barn. And the man who told this story also admitted that he quote unquote wet his overalls. So that's kind of funny.
This is not the first time that we have heard of somebody who made poopies when they saw a monster.
No.
And every time I hear it, I love it. It adds so much to the story.
But the story that caught my eye is a story that has no official police record, no media coverage, and the source for this is an article written by a gas station employee named Jan Peterson, who heard the story from two cops that came into their store at 3 a.m. and also claims there is a cover-up, and that's why there's blackout on information. So process that information however you want. And it's wild because even knowing all of this, there's documentaries made about this story. There are multiple episodes. There's probably full podcasts dedicated to this story, and they know this. They know that this is the only source.
Absolutely amazing.
So the story goes that one night in the mid 1980s, Jan Peterson was working the graveyard shift at a gas station when two officers came in looking shaken, terrified, and just all around like visibly upset. One of them even looked like he was gonna like puke.
Oh, so like normal cops.
Yeah. So the cops come in, get some coffees and some waters, and went outside and sat on the curb. Since there were no other customers, Jan decided to step outside and see what was going on, or maybe help ease their minds or whatever, just friendly small township. She even offered some Rolaids to the man who looked like as though he's going to puke. And apparently, in her words, with his shaking hand, he took them and put them in his mouth. It's... But
I love it.
Yeah, they sat in silence until one of the officers, for some reason, decided to go into great detail about their active murder investigation that they just came from with this random gas station employee. Now,
you got an honest face. Let me tell you about all the secrets from this investigation.
Yeah, now her telling of it reads like a creative writing prompt. So instead of me reading all of it and trying to put it into my own words, I'm just going to read to you what she wrote because one,
yes, please.
I'm lazy as fuck, and two, it's just way funnier. So
no, you got to read it.
Yeah, so this is what she says that they told her. Okay, are you ready for this?
I'm ready. Let's go.
They had gotten a call to help with an investigation at one of the many rural campgrounds down in LBL. The tourist season was about to start in a few weeks, so the usual... Also, by the way, I'm reading this off of a blog that has like one of those old like the color of the font and the color of the background are so aggressive to the eyes that like reading this is very hard.
What is it, like black background with red or green font?
It's actually like neon yellow. Now, the tourist season was about to start in a few weeks, so as usual, there were some early arrivals that had come to claim prime camping spots before the areas were overrun with tents, campers, and travel trailers. The sun was setting low. I don't know how she got all this information because this is way too much. The sun was setting low in the sky when they arrived at the scene. Several other official vehicles were already there, and there were many more to come, as they would soon find out. Many coming from other counties, and a few coming all the way from another state. Several of these to come were coroners from different counties. One coroner vehicle was already present, as well as an ambulance, which would prove useless as there was no one to save. The victims were all dead, quite dead, completely, totally, and thoroughly deceased. A young married couple that had come to take it easy for a few days were the first to discover the ghastly scene. Neither one of them wanted to stay behind while the other went for help, so they both nervously traveled to the nearest town, Grand Rivers, and called the authorities. They did not return to LBL. They merely gave the arriving officer directions to the area of discovery and rented a local hotel room. With the sun going down, it got dark pretty fast, so there was a flurry of floodlights from the cruisers being pointed in all directions, along with the excited movements of $50 flashlights being held by nervous, restless hands searching the trees, the grounds, the leaves, the shadows.
You can tell that this woman, this was her time to shine.
Yeah.
She's like, I have always wanted to be a writer, and now I'm finally here.
There was a parked motorhome at the site, its frame being lit by a campfire close by, a fire that had almost went out on its own, but had been rekindled by the new crowd of men in uniforms so that they could have more light. The front and back doors of the home were open, one of the doors hanging by one hinge in a crooked slant. Through the windows, they could see zigzag movements of luminosity as the beams from flashlights searched the interior. Bloody handprints slid down the thin metal walls close to the front door, and more bloody handprints could be seen the length towards the back door, their images dancing eerily in the firelight like some ancient tribal symbols.
Bro. Who taught this person to write?
I don't know. Hold on. And Adam and Bill. Also, she gave these people names to protect their identities. So Adam and Bill are the two cops.
Okay.
Adam and Bill did not even want to imagine what was inside the motorhome, but then again, they would soon find out that it wasn't what was inside, but what was outside that would change their lives forever. There was already crime scene tape placed in numerous scattered parts of the area.
Okay.
The little white flags on metal stakes stuck into the ground marking evidence of ripped clothing, bodies, and body parts, separated by limbs, a pile of bowels, pieces of loose flesh clinging to muscle tissue, what used to be 3 bodies that just hours before had been a happy family on a happy vacation to create happy memories.
But now they were
years
just 3 distinct buttholes.
It's a father, a mother, and a young son. The happiness was gone, destroyed by a psychotic madman, or was it men? A murderous rage had taken place, one so abhorrently appalling that there were few witnesses to the scene that had kept their composure or held their recently eaten dinners down. At first sight, the victims appeared to be butchered by some unnameable weapon, possibly an axe or a chainsaw. Upon further inspection by the first arriving coroner, the wounds on the bodies were determined not to have been caused by a sharp instrument, but rather by some piercing, well-defined claws, and other wounds by some keen, mordantly long incisors. Wildcat? Bear? Wolves? The coroner shook his head in baffled disagreement with each guess from the officers. The claw marks, for instance, on the back of the father's corpse was distinctly made by 4 long claws with a smaller digit like a thumb on the side. It spanned wider than a man's print, wider and different than bear's marks, with deeply deliberate gouges in the flesh. Rake marks from an angry unknown source trying to grab its prey that was no doubt trying to escape. The wildcat and wolves theory was dismissed as the open wound marks were apparently made by a more grandiose animal source. The marks were much larger than any mountain lion, wolf, or coyote. Whatever did it had a larger snout and more sizable teeth. There was also indications of the larger areas of the cadavers, of bite marks where the flesh, meat, and bone had been yanked away from the body, like a human who bites into an apple and leaves the impression of his bite and teeth marks. So where the open wounds on these individuals. Bears, well, they aren't native to the area, but who knows? Maybe a grizzly did sneak in some way. But that was far-fetched. He would have had to have traveled several states and crossed several rivers to even get close to this part of Kentucky. Everyone present was betting on the quote-unquote bear hypothesis anyway, and no one even thought of any... Sorry, this is so hard to read. Even thought
it's so poorly written.
Of anything else
the worst.
To be the cause of such a savage attack. A bear? It had to be a bear. From the back door of the motorhome, an officer stepped down slowly, holding in his hand some type of garment, a dress, a small dress, that would have fit a small girl of around 5 years old. He informed the onlookers that there was more little girl's clothing packed inside the coach. Oh yeah, they only found the bodies of the mom, the dad, the son, so that's what...
Okay.
This meant that there was a missing person, or an absent body, a member of the family. They all prayed she was still alive somehow, hiding somewhere. A new search began. As time went by, additional law enforcement employees arrived, as well as a few volunteer rescue squad members. Groups were spread out in assigned areas to examine and explore. Another coroner arrived to assist in the identification of and cause of death. And much later, a third one showed up, this one from a nearby state. All types of samples were placed in plastic bags, marked as evidence and carefully stowed away. As they were packaging up what appeared to be one of the father's arms, one of the doctors noticed something wrapped between the dead fingers. Some tweezers slowly untangled a clump of long gray and brown hairs. This too was placed in a bag and marked and put away to be analyzed at a lab later. From somewhere in the woods, about 50 yards from the campfire, a scream was heard, a man's shriek that turned into a long wail and then to whimpering. As others arrived, they could see the gleam of several flashlights that the cop was holding. Several flashlights that the cop was holding?
He was holding 3 flashlights.
What the fuck? Hold on. As others arrived, they could see by the gleam of several flashlights that the cop was holding his hat in one hand and his light in the other. There was blood on his face, the front of his shirt, and on the brim of his hat. More blood could be seen dripping on him. It was coming from above, high in the trees. The flashlight swung, searching for the source of the mysterious bleeding. A very small hand could be seen dangling down from a tree limb way up high, as well as a slender, lifeless leg that still had a white sock still on the foot. The missing child had been located. It had been Adam that the blood had trickled upon, hitting his hat first, making him look up, and then feeling the thick, cold fluid sprinkling down his face, then sliding down to his neatly buttoned shirt. It had been Adam that screamed. The little girl had apparently been carried up the tree and leisurely eaten upon while carefully laid across a large tree branch. More of the same long gray and brown hairs were found sticking in the bark and the tree near her body. How you doing so far, Sarge? I feel like I should check in on you.
The writing in this is so bad that it's hard to pay attention. When she was like, it could have been a bear, but it had to have traveled across 3 states and a number of rivers. Well, I mean, by that logic, it could have been a lion that just had to get in a boat. Like, are you fucking kidding?
Yeah, it's not well written. It's not.
And she's like, oh, the dad's severed arm and in his dead fingers. And there was hair. Well, yeah, we know the fingers are dead because it's not attached to a person anymore. Yeah. You fucking clown. This sounds like the worst Reddit creepypasta I've ever read. Like, I'm sorry, guys. I know you don't know me from anyone. You don't know why I'm this mad, but I am a creative writing minor. 90% of my degrees came from my ability to write a sentence coherently. And I'm not like an expert in grammar, but I know that like you don't need to say half the shit this person was saying. Like every other sentence is a redundancy built on the previous sentence.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. This is word for word what the cops told her.
Yeah, exactly. This is word for word. The cops are like, it was a cold, dark, sultry night. Like, what are you talking about?
It's a cold, dark sultry. Yeah, don't worry about it. But anyways, after about 7 hours, most of the officers were sent away as a new team of investigators arrived. They were told not to talk to anyone of the incident, especially not the media. I am sure that besides Adam and Bill, there were others who had to confess what they saw that night, if in fact this whole event ever really happened. Witnesses that had to divulge the awful secret of the atrocious discovery at one of the campgrounds at LBL. About a month after sitting outside with Adam and Bill that night, they stopped in again during one of my midnight shifts. They're both rather quiet, more serious in nature, not like before the incident where they would kid around while drinking their sodas and eating a snack or two. They had both aged in some odd way. Streaks of gray that had not been there before highlighted both of their heads of hair. Their faces had lines of worry and showed signs of stress. I would see them again and again many times afterwards, but on this particular evening, they informed me that they got word about some of the lab tests that were taken that dreadful night. The tests on the saliva taken from the bite marks and from the hair found on the man's fingers in the tree bark came back with an unknown species origin. The closest animal that they could compare it to was that of Canis lupus, a wolf. Just full on jerk off motion.
Thing is, this story, super compelling. Mm-hmm. I love the idea. I love everything about it, except for the writing has completely ruined it for me. Now I don't even care. Now I hope everyone's dead.
Yeah, but that's this goes on. But that's the story of the massacre of Land Between the Lakes. She does go on to say that whether Adam and Bill had played an elaborate hoax on me, I'll never really know for sure. But their sincerity and fear painted a picture of truth in their eyes and actions. And then she goes on to say there were several more stories that I've heard about this werewolf over in LBL, but I'm not going to fucking read any of that because I don't care.
Yeah, I really hope she doesn't write any more stories because it would take forever for her to be like, a guy got killed by an undisclosed bear-like, wolf-like creature.
Yeah.
It would be 25 paragraphs, and she would have 13 different sentences to describe how old somebody looked.
Yeah. She does say that you will never read about this in the papers or hear about it on the news or get a confession from any law enforcement official or man of office. The media will say it's a bunch of hoo-ha or just pranks, silly stories, urban legends, lies, tall tales, and such. That's
weirdly convenient because they told her right away.
This is tourism country, and that means millions of dollars to the area. So you can't scare off business, can you? And by the way, that's a great place to end this. I'm only halfway down the page of the article. She already says everything she needed to say, and she just keeps going. So,
oh God,
yeah. But
wow,
there you have it.
Did you find this on Reddit?
No, this is on. Dude, if you Google Massacre of Land Between the Lakes or whatever, like you'll find like a full-on documentary by Small Town Monsters, who is the most uncredible fucking asshole bullshit that I can think of, and I've called them out before. Especially when they called fucking they called the Rougarou a skinwalker and all. They're just bad all around. They promote they promote a bunch of Native American legends as like
they just steal them.
Yeah, it's bad. But yeah, there's like this is like a heavily believed in thing in the cryptid community. Like they believe that this happened because it's gotten so muddied over because the original post no longer exists. I took this from someone who found it, was able to save it, and then post it on it's actually fandomsandmonsters.com, the same one where I got the Mantis Man stories from.
That explains the over describing of the muscly arms of this creature.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, there you have it. So yeah, what do you think? But writing aside,
just I'm not going to harp on it anymore. My anger has subsided.
Yeah, focusing on like the story itself, like how we feeling.
I mean, I like it, but I think what's missing is just the we got like the one story about the police.
Yeah,
I would have. And I'm gonna just have to look it up myself, but I want to see like what other people have said, like what other people have seen. Is there any consistency to the description of it? I mean, but I find it very interesting,
like the description of the beast.
Yeah,
it's all consistent across the board. But I mean, if you grew up in this area, you know the description. You could easily make up the story.
I want to find it. I just don't want to get eaten by it. You know what I mean? Set up some trail cams. Let's make this happen.
But I mean, it's like. Every story of anyone encountering the Dogman, it's always like they always describe it as like it's a ferocious creature that upon sight will murder you and whatever. But it's like every story I've ever heard of the Dogman is like I saw it, it looked at me, growled, and then ran away. It's like no one like you know what I mean? It's like I've never heard a story of like I was attacked by it, survived, and
well, maybe with the family, the Dogman took a bite and was like, I don't like the way this tastes. And now he runs away from people because he's like, broccoli. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't taste good.
So you're saying he's curious like a shark. Like a shark like humans aren't in their food chain, but they'll take a bite, but then they'll spit you out. Like
yeah, or maybe like the family just played baby shark too much. In the Dogman was just like, all right, I'm done.
Well, this is in the mid '80s, so
maybe they played some Raffi.
Oh
I believe he was popular.
Yeah. They could have done that. I don't know.
Dogs are very sensitive to sound, so maybe the dog heard that horrible music and decided to kill the whole family.
Yeah, the Dogman. I don't buy it, dude. I mean, it's weird because I do believe in a lot of weird shit. Do I believe in a lot of things that we talk about on the show? No. Are there some are there some things that I do? Hell yeah, man. Like do
I want them to be real? Yes. Yeah. Do I believe they're real? No.
It's just like same thing with Bigfoot and like any of the bigger quote unquote like bigger cryptids. Like the sightings are never compelling. It's always just like I saw it from a distance. Like at least with like the stuff that we cover, especially the more niche ones like Flatwoods Mont, like there was people face to face with it. It was a one-off thing. Like they didn't see from a distance. They encountered a creature. They encountered something. With this shit, it's like, yeah, I saw a wolf man. What ruined the believability for me was the terrible writing. Because my thought is this person was trying to write like a creepypasta on Reddit. They weren't actually trying to tell a real story. But even if like it was real and like, don't add like flavor. The flavor, like
that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I think it's fake.
Like write what you remember. Write down like what you can somewhat remember what they exactly said. Like don't add like, you know what I mean? Like fucking all this flavor text. And also and again, the entire story that I told you was in the middle of this entire long fucking post. Like just give me the details. Like don't add like.
That's why I said at the beginning, this was clearly her time to shine.
Yeah.
Like she needed to write this like super detailed, heavily described flowery bullshit when she could have just been like, I knew these two cops and they told me about a fucking wolf man that killed a bunch of people. Here's the details. Way more believable than it was a dark night. There were many flashlights, $50 flashlights.
Yeah. So this is at the header of the article on Phantoms and Monsters. It says the following article is written by Jan Thompson and forwarded to me by my colleague Ben Peveler of the NAFS. The website where this article originally appeared was taken down by the author after she was deemed a liar and a fraud.
Oh, Yahtzee. There you go. I'm not the only one.
And then it says, I'm not going to go into the scenario considering the source of the accusation. The article has been reprinted by others, though I cannot attest to the exact content those versions presented. Ben believes that Jan's story is credible, and he is from the area of the incident and has talked to others who have met Jan, but not the officer. All right. I also want to give credit to Barton Nunley, who brought this story to the public's attention in his documentary Hunt the Dogman, High Strangeness in Western Kentucky. And then again, there's also a Small Town Monsters documentary about it, as well as countless episodes of podcasts, stuff like that. Like, I mean, you can believe it if you want, but to me, this is just fucking grade
it's
A,
bullshit.
just not real.
Yeah, it's bullshit. I really think it's like Slender Man. It's a creepypasta, and this person thought they were going to pull one over, and it just, all of it smacks of nonsense.
But the other thing too is that, like, this is like the perfect, like, this area already heavily believes in shit like this. You know what I mean? Like, it's been around forever. So to write this, to be from the area, and then to have someone who's also from the area, part of like a fucking like cryptid paranormal group, like kind of give you their backing, even makes it more credible, even though it's like clearly not. Like,
yeah.
But the big red flag for me, and which I don't understand how no one else, because I hate to say it, but the cryptid community and the fucking conspiracy and like weird right wing, they all kind of mesh together at certain points. So they don't care about the fact that the biggest red flag was when she started out with, you won't find this in the newspaper. You won't find it in the media. There'll be no police records of this because they want to keep it hush hush because it'll impact tourism. That's the biggest red flag. If you can't verify that this fucking happened, it didn't happen. There's no way.
Yeah. Like, also, the media cannot wait to report things.
Exactly. And you're telling me that like Jan, not even a first-hand witness. This is like a third-hand witness. Like, I don't know.
Nonsense.
It just
absolute nonsense.
It just frustrates me because like shit like this is why I hate fucking Dogman, Bigfoot, and I hate all the new Skinwalker shit, because like it just muddies the water of just like what actually might actually be out there. But also, I don't know. I don't know the history of the Dogman. Like, I don't know if this is like appropriation of like a Native American thing. It probably fucking could be, and we're just being super white about it, and I don't want to do that. But who the fuck knows, man? I don't know.
Yeah, the thing that annoys me the most about it, and this is what triggered me to believe that it wasn't real, was just like you were saying, how descriptive she was about everything.
Yeah,
when you're telling somebody else's story, you don't add flourishes.
Yeah, I've never witnessed something and then had to tell a friend about it and be like, "Yeah, man, dude, it was a cold and brisk autumn evening. The sun was setting just below the horizon. The amber.
Unless you were trying to make a joke out of it, like if you were trying to fuck around, that would make sense.
Well, like, don't like, the guy was probably like, yeah, it was like 7:00. We went to this trailer. A bunch of people died, and she's like, 7:00. The sun was just setting below the horizon.
No, my favorite part was this is where it started for me when my bullshit meter went off. It was the very beginning when she's like, the sun was setting low in the sky.
Yeah.
When does the sun set high in the sky, you fucking idiot? When once have you ever seen the sun set, at noon?
What if there's a mountain in the way? Then it's setting high in the sky.
It's still low.
Not really. It's Big Mountain Everest. It's a big mountain. Also, is Kentucky and Tennessee?
I think there's some mountains that way. There's a lot of hills in Kentucky, I know for sure, but I think there might also be some mountains.
I didn't look this up, but like, is the Land Between the Lakes? It's got to be like that's like Appalachia kind of area, right? This might be our longest episode ever because we're just gonna fucking sit here and just talk shit about this for so long.
I'm looking it up right now.
But I feel like we don't ever break down the stories we tell, and I think this is a good time to do it because this is clearly nonsense. But I just don't understand how, like, if I Google Massacre Between the Lakes, like, you're gonna get so many results, and they're all gonna like this one right here. This is from July 29th, 2024.
Okay, so it is part of the Appalachian Mountain Range.
Yeah, like, if you Google the Massacre of Land Between the Lakes or Land Between the Lakes Massacre, like, you're gonna get a bunch of like stuff like from this year talking about it and how like it's real. And again, the new, like, this article right here from 2024, it says the newest entry about the LBL massacre is entitled Dogman Territory, Werewolves in the Land Between the Lakes, which, first of all, even though Dogman's not real, it's not a werewolf. It's like, it's not a dude who turns into a wolf. It's just a fucking wolf man. Like, I don't like, it's like how like they did the Rougarou. Like, they said that like the Rougarou is a werewolf. It's not.
They're just making more out of it than there needs to be.
Like a werewolf, you're cursed. You don't want to be a werewolf. Like a Rougarou, you become like you actively seek out becoming that. Same thing with like the Dogman. Like the Dogman is just a fucking Dogman. I don't know. Anyway, Sarge.
Yeah,
let's
2 thumbs way down on the reality of this. 2 thumbs way down.
This one,
and if I had a 3rd thumb, it would be 3 thumbs down for the writing.
Yeah. Oh God, the writing was so bad. But anyways, this is that's it. We're done. All right, Sarge. So that's the episode. We did good, I think. We survived. It's a longer one. It was dumb. It was really fucking stupid, but it was funny, and I had a good time.
Yeah, people will appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything you want to plug? You want to promote anything? I know you still got your
coloring book.
Yep.
SargeSupernormal.com, still available, $9.99. Get your coloring book. Do it before the election, because hopefully after the election it won't be necessary anymore. It'll probably be banned if the other guy wins. And then you find me on the internets. Just Google Sarge the Destroyer. I'm sure I'll show up somewhere on something that you are participating in. Yeah. Be it YouTube, TikTok, X, which is the dumbest name for a website ever, so I'm still calling it Twitter. Instagram, Threads. I'm all over the place. But follow me and buy my coloring book, because it'll be fun.
Yeah, and you can find links to all of his socials as well as where to buy the coloring book in the link in our bio on Instagram at Cryptid Cocktail. Also send more listener stories, cryptidcocktail@gmail.com. You can send them to either the email, you can send them to the Cryptid Cocktail Instagram, or you can send them to Sarge on any of his socials. He's open and ready and willing for anything to come his way.
I am wide open. Send it.
Yeah, support us on Patreon. It's $5 a month. You know, we'll do some stuff maybe. Who knows?
Let's do this.
Besides that, I got nothing else. Sarge, do you want to say goodbye and I love you to the audience?
Hey, guys. I love you. Thank you for listening.